Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to suspend your doubt and step into the world of the unseen. A world where time bends to imagination, where reality is nothing more than your subconscious beliefs pushed out. Manifesting large sums of money in just 4 days or even less is not a fantasy. It is a law, not of luck, but of consciousness. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is what you feel yourself to be. So the first step is radical. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now feel it. Saturate your being with the sense of already having the money you desire. Don't look to the outer world for confirmation. Ignore it. What you see is just an echo of your past assumptions. Want to change your future? Change the internal movie playing in your mind. You must dwell in the state where the money is already yours. Hear the congratulations. Smell the crisp bills. Feel the relief and joy as if it were done. The secret is repetition and emotional conviction. Day and night return to that inner state of abundance. In 4 days or sooner you'll see the bridge of incidents unfold. Doors will open. Coincidences will align. The outer world will rush to keep up with your inner shift. Remember, it's not about trying, it's about knowing. It's about being. You are not a beggar hoping for money. You are the operant power commanding it by assumption. So now I ask you, what if it was already done? What would you think? How would you walk? What would you do today? Then do it. And watch as money obeys your inner command. To assume the end is to place yourself inwardly at the destination of your desire. It is to no longer wish, beg, or strive for what you seek, but to become the one who already possesses it. It means to walk, talk, think, and feel from the reality of the wish fulfilled, not toward it, but from it. The great error most make is to dwell in the longing, in the gap between where they are and where they want to be. But the truth is, that gap only exists because they keep looking at it. The moment you mentally move into the state of already having, already being, already living in the result, the outer world begins to conform. It has no choice. It must take the shape of your dominant state of consciousness. You must go beyond mental fantasy. This is not idle daydreaming. It is a deliberate occupation of the mind. You must sit in silence, close the senses to the outer, and enter into the scene of your fulfilled desire. Not watching it as an outsider, but participating in it. Hearing the words someone might say to you, if it were done. Feeling the relief, the gratitude, the deep knowing that it is so. When your inner world is saturated with the conviction that it is already yours, the outer world is compelled to mirror that truth. Remain loyal to that end. Do not check the bank account to see if it worked. Do not look for signs or chase proof. Simply persist in the feeling. Let your conversations be from the point of having. Let your self-talk reflect the tone of possession, not pursuit. Do not dwell on when or how. Time bends to assumption. The bridge of events will unfold in a way you could never predict. But it must come, for the end has already been accepted. You are not hoping. You are not waiting. You are dwelling in the end. And to dwell in the end is to make it real. For the only reality that matters is what you accept as true in consciousness. And what you accept as true with feeling, you inevitably express in form. So assume the end and persist there. All things are drawn to the one who already knows they are his. Your imagination is not a passive faculty. It is the creative power through which all things are made. Everything you see, touch, and experience in your world was first imagined, whether consciously or unconsciously. To saturate your imagination is to deliberately immerse your inner world with the feeling, imagery, and conviction of your desired outcome, until it becomes more real to you than the evidence of your senses. This is the sacred act of creation. To imagine is to commune with the unseen reality that precedes all manifestation. What you continually imagine with feeling, with clarity, with faith, will harden into fact, not because it might, but because it must. You are always creating, whether by design or by neglect. And when you choose to saturate your imagination with wealth, abundance, and financial freedom, you are reprogramming the very soil from which your life grows. Do not imagine once, briefly, and expect the world to shift. No, You must return to it, again and again, until your entire inner atmosphere is thick with the sense of the wish fulfilled. Let it become your secret dwelling place. Let your mind become so absorbed in the scene of success, of money flowing to you in divine ease, that the outside world begins to feel like the dream, and your imagined life becomes the only reality that matters. Use all the senses, inwardly. Hear the tone of someone congratulating you. See the numbers in your bank account. Feel the texture of the money in your hands, or the weight of the wallet filled with cash. Smell the scent of new bills, or your favorite place you'd go to celebrate your wealth. Let it be vivid. Let it be alive. But most importantly, let it be felt. It is feeling that impresses the subconscious mind. It is feeling that calls the unseen into the seen. Make it natural. Make it normal. Let these inner scenes run in the background of your day like a favorite song stuck in your mind. When idle, return to them. When worried, retreat into them. When doubting, dive deeper into them. The world cannot resist the one who is unwavering in their inner conviction. Repetition is not mere routine. It is the process of watering the seed. Every time you imagine with feeling, you are fertilizing the soil of your being. The harvest is inevitable. But most people uproot the seed too soon. They imagine for a moment, then return to doubt. They check the world for signs. They ask, where is it? The one who knows does not ask. He walks as if it is already done. So saturate your imagination. Flood it. Soak every crevice of your inner world with the vision of your fulfilled desire. Let your thoughts echo the reality you are choosing. Let your emotions blend with the outcome you desire. Let your inner conversations rehearse the gratitude of one who has already received. When your imagination becomes more convincing than your reality will yield and conform. The world will bend, not because you fought it, but because you formed it. This is your true work, not striving in the outer, but dwelling, living, and being in the inner. The riches you seek are waiting in the unseen, held only by the clarity and consistency of your inner image. Saturate it, and the outer world will have no choice but to reflect your dominion. There is a sacred law, subtle in appearance, but absolute in effect, known as the law of reversibility. It reveals a powerful secret. If a certain mental or emotional state naturally results from a physical condition, then producing that mental or emotional state can, in turn, cause the physical condition to appear. This is not a theory. It is a law. A law as dependable as gravity, and far more useful when understood. What this means is simple, yet transformative. If receiving large sums of money would cause you to feel secure, joyful, free, or powerful, then by feeling secure, joyful, free, or powerful now, without waiting for the money, you are setting into motion the very cause of its arrival. You are beginning at the end, and allowing the end to reshape the path. Everything flows from a state. You do not earn states. You do not wait for them. You enter them. And once entered, they create a mold, an unseen blueprint through which reality begins to form. This is why the inner world is the true world. For when you generate the state deliberately, you are reversing the flow. You are moving cause from the outer to the inner. You are no longer reacting. You are creating. Ask yourself this: how would I feel if I had the money now? What would the emotional tone of my days be? What quiet inner confidence would settle in my heart? Would I feel relief? Gratitude? Would I walk a little taller, breathe a little deeper, sleep a little easier? Whatever your honest answer is, that feeling is your doorway. That is the atmosphere you must begin to live in now. To reverse the process, you must assume the mood of the fulfilled desire before any visible evidence appears. This is the great discipline. It is to feel rich when the account is low, to feel abundance in the face of limitation, to walk with inner certainty in the middle of external confusion, not as a performance, not as denial, but as an act of creation. Because here is the truth. Your emotions are not just reactions, they are causes. They are messengers of the state you occupy. And the state you occupy determines the life you experience. The world tells you to wait until the condition is fulfilled. Then you may feel the joy, the freedom, the ease. But the law tells you to feel it now. And the condition will be compelled to appear. For every effect must return to its cause. You have the power at any moment to generate the internal state of wealth, to dwell in the mood of financial freedom, to rehearse the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to smile not because something happened, but because something is happening within you. And what is happening within you will soon be seen around you. Let the feeling rise within you and remain. Dwell in it until it becomes familiar, until it becomes your new normal, until you no longer hope for money, but expect it, quietly, confidently, with no strain or effort. This is how you use the law of reversibility, by choosing now to feel what you would feel then, by embodying the state before it seems logical, by allowing the emotion to lead the transformation. And when you do, the world outside must respond, for it cannot resist the one who has claimed their desire not as a hope, but as a present reality. The law will not fail you. The reversal will complete itself, and what once seemed distant will arrive, not because you chased it, but because you became it. One of the greatest errors in the process of creation is the obsession with how a desire will come to pass. The human mind, trained to reason and calculate, is always reaching for mechanisms and methods, trying to anticipate the bridge from here to there. But in the world of manifestation, this clinging to how is the very chain that binds you to delay. The moment you seek to control the means, you step out of the end, and only the end is sacred. Understand this. The moment you define what you desire, and you feel it as already true, the how is none of your concern. The way by which it comes is not your responsibility. Your only task is to remain loyal to the assumption that it is already so. You are not the architect of the bridge. You are the dreamer of the end. The structure of the path will appear with divine intelligence, far beyond what logic could ever construct. The how belongs to the unseen intelligence that governs all things. You are not to interfere with it. The outer world, with all its people, events and movements, will bend itself into the shape of your inner assumption, if only you will allow it to work without your anxious interference. When you focus on the how, you reduce the infinite to the limited. You filter divine possibility through the narrow tunnel of your past experiences and known methods. But the universe is not limited to what you know. It does not care for odds or probability. It only reflects the inner state. It brings about what you have accepted as true in imagination, not through struggle, but through flow, through what appears to be natural, inevitable, even coincidental. How will it come? That is not your business. You must simply enter the state of having received it. If your desire is large sums of money, you need not figure out whether it will come through business, a gift, a check, a stranger, an idea, or a sudden opportunity. All of these are possible. None of them require your manipulation. Your part is to assume the tone of wealth, to feel yourself in possession, to give thanks in advance, as if it had already occurred. Leave the rest. Trust the law. The bridge of incidents will form itself around your unwavering state of belief. You may be moved into action, yes, but not from fear or control. You will act from inspiration, from intuition, from a silent knowing that action will be effortless, because it will be aligned with the unfolding of your assumption. But this only happens when you drop the need to plan every step. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the mechanics. Let go of the mental calculations and the restless questions. Dwell in the end, and the middle will right itself. The moment you surrender the how, you open the door to the miraculous. You step into the realm of the unseen, where unseen hands begin to move. People begin to shift, circumstances begin to align, all in service to your inner world.
The more faithfully you rest in the end, the more quickly the outer world conforms. Do not be fooled by appearances. What you see is just a reflection of a former state. What you feel now is the seed of what is to come. So drop the hound. Drop it completely. Do not pick it back up in a moment of doubt. When the mind rushes to solve, bring it back to stillness. Remind yourself, it is already done. Rest in that. Return to that. Remain in that.
And then watch.
The money will come. The door will open. The phone will ring. The message will arrive. But it will not be because you figured it out. It will be because you trusted what cannot be seen, and let it lead you into what can. To dwell in the state of wealth
Is not to chase riches, nor to beg for abundance. It is to abide, to live, to be wealth in consciousness before a single dollar appears in hand. It is to inwardly adopt the posture, the mindset, the mood of one who already possesses all that they desire. Not momentarily, not occasionally, but persistently, as a new identity. Your outer world is always an echo of your inner dwelling. Whatever state you consistently return to in imagination, you will find mirrored in your environment. So to dwell in poverty inwardly, while hoping for riches externally, is a contradiction that prevents manifestation. You must move first, mentally. The physical must follow, for it has no choice. The state of wealth is not about numbers. It is a feeling. It is a knowing. It is a deep, calm confidence that all needs are met, that money flows freely, that supply is unlimited. To dwell in this state is to conduct your inner world as if lack does not exist, not through denial, but through dominion. Ask yourself, how does a wealthy person wake up in the morning? How do they speak to themselves? How do they view opportunities? How do they treat time, people, and their own mind? Begin there, not by imitating outward behaviors, but by feeling inwardly the texture of that life. If it were already yours, how would you move through this moment? That is your work, not trying to get rich, but dwelling as one who already is. This is not a fleeting act of visualization. It is a dwelling, a habitation, a sustained inward tone that colors your thoughts, choices, and assumptions. You must carry it with you like a fragrance. When you walk into a room, let your consciousness speak wealth before you utter a word. Let your energy announce, I have all I need, and more is always on its way. To dwell in the state of wealth means you stop looking to the bank account for confirmation. You stop measuring your worth by temporary numbers or material forms. You no longer panic over bills, nor tighten up in conversations about money. You respond to the world from a place of sufficiency, even when your senses tempt you to react from lack. This inner dwelling becomes your anchor. When doubts arise, return to it. When fear whispers, you don't have enough, answer from the state, I always have more than enough. Not to deceive yourself, but to realign with the truth that your inner world is first cause. What you feel now, deeply and repeatedly, will materialize. Practice this in silence. Sit in stillness. Close your eyes and imagine a scene that implies the reality of wealth. Perhaps it is a loved one saying, you're doing so well financially. Perhaps it is you paying all your expenses effortlessly. Perhaps it is a quiet knowing as you rest at night, unconcerned, free and full. Whatever scene you choose, let it carry the feeling of being financially secure and abundant. Live in that scene. Make it real. Let your heart beat slow in its presence. Let your breath deepen in the peace of that fulfilled state. Remain there often. The more you return, the more you dwell, the more it becomes familiar. And the more familiar it becomes, the more natural it feels. And whatever becomes natural becomes inevitable. You are not trying to become wealthy. You are assuming the state of wealth and being it now. And when you are it in consciousness, the world has no choice but to conform. Not because you forced it, but because you fulfilled the law. As within, so without. So remain in the state. Visit it until it no longer feels like imagination but memory. Until it no longer feels like pretending, but home. Then, and only then, will wealth reveal itself to you, not as something earned, but as something remembered. The two most sacred doorways to the subconscious mind are the moments just before sleep and the moments just after waking. These are not ordinary passages of time. They are golden gateways where the conscious mind loosens its grip and the subconscious becomes most impressionable. In these thin spaces between waking and sleeping, between the outer world and the inner one, you have access to the very workshop of creation. The impressions you plant in these moments take root quickly and deeply. They bypass resistance. They enter the soil of your being while the surface is still soft and receptive. Therefore, what you think, feel, and imagine just before you fall asleep, and just after you rise, will shape the experiences of your waking life with uncanny precision. You may deceive the world, but you cannot deceive your inner self at night. As you lie down in silence, your state of mind, the atmosphere you carry into sleep, becomes the blueprint for what follows. If you drift off in worry, fear, or lack, you are planting seeds of continuation. But if you surrender into sleep, having imagined yourself already in possession of your desire, then you are impressing the subconscious with the reality of that fulfilled state. This is why you must be careful with your final thoughts at night. Do not let the mind replay the day's failures or entertain tomorrow's fears. Use this moment wisely. Let it be holy. Take a scene that implies your desire is fulfilled, perhaps a congratulatory message, a loving conversation, or a quiet moment of contentment, and gently replay it in your imagination. Do not strain. Let it be soft yet vivid. Feel it as if it were real. Allow yourself to fall asleep in that feeling. Sleep in the assumption of wealth, and wealth will begin to unfold. Not because you forced the world to change, but because you changed the seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious. What you accept at night, the world reveals by day. And just as important is the morning, those first waking moments before the noise returns. Your mind is still quiet, your heart still tender, and your imagination still active. In this moment, you must not reach for your phone, your problems, or your doubts. Instead, reach inward. Recall who you have chosen to be. Re-enter the scene. Reinstate the feeling. Let the very first breath of your day carry the vibration of fulfillment. The morning sets the tone. If you rise in the spirit of wealth, the day will respond with opportunities, synchronicities, and subtle shifts. Even when nothing has changed externally, everything has changed internally. And that is the only place true change begins. Make a practice of this. Let night and morning become your rituals of transformation. Let them be sacred appointments with your inner world. Twice a day, anchor yourself in the state of the wish fulfilled. Use these windows to remind the subconscious of what is true, not by sight, but by faith, by feeling. Do not measure your results. Do not ask, is it working? The harvest is sure, if the seed is true. Your only task is to remain faithful in feeling, to return, again and again, to the scene that declares, it is done. In these quiet hours, you are not waiting for the world to change. You are becoming the change within, and in time the world will conform, not as a reward, but as a reflection of the self you dare to assume. Silence. When you speak, you are not merely using words. You as you decrees. You are commanding beautiful forces that shape your reality. Every word carries vibrations, and every affirmation, when spoken convictions, becomes a seed cast in the fertile ground of consciousness. But there is a difference between wishful speech and preachful speech. One pleads the as of preach. One pleads this speech and preaches speech. One pleads this preach. One pleads the as of preach. This suspicions. This suspicions. One pleads the as of preach. This suspicions. This speech and preaches. One begs the world to change. This suspicions. This suspicions. This suspicions. This suspicions. This suspicions. This suspicions. That is to know that your word is law within your own world, and that what you affirm with feeling and repetition becomes the structure around which your life is built. Most people speak as victims of circumstance, using language that echoes their past, their fears and their lack. But the one who understands the power of assumption speaks from the place of fulfillment. When they affirm, "I am wealthy," it is not said to convince the world. It is said to command the inner world. It is said to command the inner world. It is said to truth. It is said as if the outer already reflects it, whether or not the senses agree. Let your affirmations be firm, not frantic. Do not plead. Do not wonder if they are working. Declare. Feel the tone of your voice. Let it come not from the lips, but from the depth of your being. Speak as one who knows. This is how you impress the subconscious, not through volume, but through certainty, through inner authority. An affirmation, when used correctly, is not for the purpose of making something happen. It is the verbal embodiment of something that has already happened in the unseen. It is the echo of the fulfilled desire, spoken until the world can no longer deny it. Say, "Money flows to me in increasing quantities." Not because you hope it might, but because in the world you have created within it already does. Say, "I always have more than enough," not to trick yourself, but because you have chosen to dwell in the state where it is so. Feel the weight of your words. Let them settle in your chest. Let them shape your posture, your tone, your breath. When you say "I am," you are summoning the most creative force in existence. What follows those words is not a casual statement. It is a command to the unseen to take form. So speak them with power. Let them rise from the assumption of truth, not the fear of lack. There may be days when nothing seems to change. That is when you must affirm with even greater inner authority. Do not react to appearances. Do not argue with reality. Command it. Return to the truth you have declared and repeat it, not like a chant, but like a ruler, reaffirming a decree. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am favored. I am supported in all I do. I receive unexpected money from known and unknown sources. These are not empty phrases. They are verbal bridges to the version of you that already lives in that reality. As you continue, your subconscious begins to accept these affirmations as normal, and once the inner world shifts, the outer must obey. You will be moved, effortlessly, into circumstances that match your claim. People, events and opportunities will arise, not because you chased them, but because you commanded them through feeling and word. So do not whisper your affirmations in doubt. Speak them in faith. Speak them in knowing. Speak them as one who has already received. And most importantly, believe yourself. For what you believe yourself to be, you become. To create a new life, to call into being a reality not yet seen, you must learn the sacred art of ignoring the evidence of your senses. For what your eyes behold, what your ears hear, what your hands touch, these are merely the outpicturings of former assumptions. They are not final. They are echoes of who you once believed yourself to be. But if you are to become someone new, if you are to manifest that which has not yet appeared, then you must not bow to appearances. You are not here to react to what is. You are here to give birth to what shall be. Your present reality may speak loudly. It may say, "There is not enough." It may whisper, "You are still waiting." It may scream through unpaid bills, through empty bank accounts, through temporary lack. But none of this matters if you have fixed your imagination on the fulfillment of your desire. The outer world will always attempt to reflect your former state. Let it. Do not wrestle with it. Do not argue with it. Simply ignore it, and persist in the unseen. This is not denial in the common sense. You are not pretending the outer doesn't exist. You are recognizing it as the past made visible. And once you understand that everything you see is an effect, not a cause, you stop giving it power over your mood, your belief, or your direction. Ignore the evidence, and give attention only to your inner conviction. If you have imagined wealth and assumed a feeling of abundance, then dwell in that inner world, even if the outer screams contradiction. You are not here to be ruled by the senses, but to rule them. You are not here to interpret appearances. You are here to recreate them. When you ignore the evidence, you are not being irrational. You are being faithful. Faith is not the acceptance of what the senses report. It is the vision that persists, in spite of what the senses report. It is knowing something is true before it is seen, and continuing to act, feel, and assume from that knowing. If you say, I am wealthy, and yet see no money, feel no change, and hear no confirmation, ignore the evidence. Keep saying it, keep believing it, not as repetition, but as identity. Assume it as your nature, and soon the evidence will shift, not because you forced the outer, but because you remained loyal to the inner.